this movie. It's such a wonderful story, and you brought so much new to it, honoring, the spirit of it. And now I'm going to start crying, so I'm just going to move on to some questions.
Like everybody else, I answered an ad in the Hollywood Reporter. Worked for an amazing man named Tony Garnett, who just passed away last week, who was a producer of the BBC, and came here to find fame and fortune in Hollywood.
And did you always know it would be as a producer, or is that something you became interested in?
I always thought it would be a producer. I became a studio executive by mistake and stayed too long.
And for you, what was the first thing you wrote or directed or acted? You do so many things.
Well, the first sort of, I consider theater part of this industry, even though it's not technically, it's show people anyway. So my first job was, I did a lot of technical theater. I did lights and sound at an experimental theater company in downtown New York, and I was a stage manager at a summer stock theater company in Vermont called the Dorset Theater Company, and I wasn't a very good stage manager. I don't know if you know what stage managers do, but they sit in the back of the house and they call the show with the book. They say for the lights and sound, which I'd done, they say like Q1 go, Q2, and I would watch the actors come on stage and they would just like look up at the booth and be like, that girl's untrustworthy. So I loved actors, I loved writers, I loved directors, I loved storytellers. I wanted to be part of it, and for a long time film felt really far away, so I didn't know. Theater was somewhat more accessible, because I grew up in Sacramento, and there was no one making movies in Sacramento, but there were community theaters, so you could participate, and that's kind of the way in. And then so I started there, and then I just kept trying to do everything that anyone would let me do. So it was, when it came to film, it was acting, but it was also writing and directing and producing and holding the boom and sort of whatever anyone needed.
Have you really held a boom?
Yeah. Well, when we were making little tiny movies for no money, if you weren't in the scene, you were booming. Or if they were getting another side, sometimes you were giving lines but also booming. So.
Beginning, because obviously Louisa May Alcott's novel is beloved for so many reasons. What was your first experience with it?
I actually don't remember ever not knowing who the March Sisters were. I don't have a time before then. It was read to me, as I think for a lot of girls that's the case, but I don't even remember that. I just remember knowing who they were, and then by the time I could read, it was one of the books that I reread many times, and it was it's so part of who I became that it's indistinguishable. Actually last night, because it's the Scripture Awards, which is all about adaptation.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a seatmate, and he was like, "So do you read books all the time and think I want to adapt them?" And I was like, "No, actually, no. I never think that. This book was my book. It was the book that kind of made me believe I could be a writer in the first place. So I don't know that I would do it with just anything. It was this book and my experience with this book, both as a child and then when I revisited it as an adult when I was 30, and it was like I knew every line, and it was like I'd never read it before. It was this odd combination, and I was like, I have to make a movie.
Had your perspective, I'm sure it did change as you became an adult, but I remember reading it when I was young and being so mad she didn't pick Lori. And then as an adult going oh, you dodged a bullet, girl.
I genuinely feel like it's a bullet dodged. But no, one of the things that because I identified very heavily with Joe. I wanted to be Joe, and the thing I didn't remember was I actually not surprisingly, was not that invested in the Lori part of it. I was invested in the writing part of it, in her dreams of what she wanted to be. She says, just in the book, she's like, I want to be rich and famous, and then I think she says she wants to own like a dozen Arabian horses, which I was sort of like, that's just, no, we don't need to give her that dream. But the thing I hadn't remembered was that in the book, she stops writing.
Mm-hmm.
She gets married to this German man, and she has kids, and she says she stopped up her inkstand. And I hadn't internalized that because it didn't match with what I wanted for her, and it also didn't match with the unconscious message I got from the book, which is that by the very fact that you're holding the book, someone wrote it, and you feel like it was her. So it's that kind of knowledge that's deeper than fact, which is what I was responding to. And I think that when I went to write this screenplay, I was kind of dealing with that distance between what the real Louisa May Alcott was and what she wrote, and also the thing you feel behind the thing, which is always pretty fascinating.
And Amy, what was sort of your experience with Little Women? Do you remember the first time you read it?
I have my copy where my name is scrawled in crayon. I'm also named Amy Beth.
Amy Beth is your name?
It is, after the bitch and the dead one. I know.
Careful, this Beth is my favorite.
Yeah, funny parents. But the thing that makes, I believe, Greta's movie so relevant is that in order for anything to change for women, for real, is ownership. That's it. Own it. Buy the company, invent something, discover the iPod, make a discovery, and buy the company. That's how you're going to change the culture, period. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to work. So what I loved about what Greta did with this very secretly, very subversive novel is to make it about power in ownership. And I don't believe that she went in and excavated the thing that Louisa May Alcott was really saying 150 years ago, which is still damn true today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean that's I mean it's unheard of today. It's a crazy thing to do today, and she negotiated a better rate for herself because he still wasn't sure that it was going to do well. He underestimated it still, and then it sold out. The first run sold out in the first 2 weeks, and she was able to renegotiate her contract because she owned it still. And I was like, God damn! like I don't know how she knew that. So it was like, it was a weird double knowledge that this book on its own had meant so much to so many different women, from like Patti Smith to Elena Ferrante to Simone de Beauvoir to J.K. Rowling, and made them feel like they could be writers. And then also, the woman behind the woman was so far ahead of what anyone was thinking at the time, and I felt like I wanted to make a movie that was kind of dealt with that.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Amy, can you make a Spanx movie? Can you get that into production? Because that's a
No.
story.
She's really, she's
Good story, though.
She's really inspiring. She is. I think she still owns her own company. It hasn't been sold to anyone. That's her company.
That is amazing. Well, we're talking about the screenplay. I'm really curious about sort of changing up the structure that we're used to, sort of the flashbacks and introducing. Was that something you wanted to do from the start?
Yeah, that was a really early thing that I saw as part of the movie. I think part of it was I wanted the girlhood to be in conversation with the adulthood, and I wanted the younger selves to be walking with the older selves, because I think that there's the text of Little Women, which is the book, and then there is the text that's like the collective memory of all of the times it's been interpreted, and all of the different versions, whether it's movies, or there's 2 anime shows, or an opera, or a musical. Yeah, 2 anime shows.
Anime show?
Yeah, 2. Yeah, yeah. And it's one of the things that Amy can speak to. It's like it does have a global audience. Women all over the world read this book. I mean, it is translated into 52 languages, but it's that kind of sense of wanting to deal with that sort of total memory of what it was as past, because I think that that's the thing that we think of when we think of Little Women is, cozy Christmas letter from father. I mean, that image is sort of burned into our heads of like the girls piled together. And I wanted to do that, and then I wanted to create a structure that would be able to subvert it and change it.
Can I say one more thing about the genius of the structure of that screenplay? I can say that. Greta called me and said, forget the Lori thing. Like, she can't marry Professor Bear in our movie. And I'm like, she can't? She goes, no. And what that structure does is allow you to go outside of the 2 timelines, which is your thinking is past and present, into what is fiction in the story, but is actually truth historically. And were it not for that very complicated structure, you wouldn't be able to go to that place and still be making Little Women.
Yeah.